Welcome to the 5th race of the inaugural season of the International Motorsports Veterans, which is still in progress after years in the making. This time, we head to the gambling capital of the United States for the second oval race of the season. That is the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada. This track is a 1.5 mile intermediate track, and it's sure to produce some decent racing, and these 40 racing veterans are ready to conquer it. But first, here are the most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines! The engines are roaring to life out here in Vegas, and we're getting ready to start this 41-lap race. But first, let's have a look at our starting lineup. On the front row, we have a couple of NASCAR stars. Jimmie Johnson gets the pole with his second front row start of the season. He started second at Daytona, by the way. And alongside him is one of the most popular NASCAR drivers of all time, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Katherine Legge with an excellent qualifying run. She starts third. She recently made her NASCAR Cup Series debut at Phoenix, but it didn't end so well for her. But she's looking to turn that around today. And starting in fourth alongside Legge is Rubens Barrichello. On the third row, you'll find Steve the King Kinser, the dirt racing legend, and Scott Dixon, the IndyCar legend. Then after that, you'll find COTA winner Sam Hornish Jr. alongside Jacques Villeneuve starting 8th. And then completing the top 10 is the Charlotte Roval winner Mark Webber alongside Valentino Rossi. Row 6, we have hometown hero Kurt Busch alongside Craig Lowndes. And then row 7, we have our most recent winner Patrick Carpentier alongside Kimi Räikkönen. Row 8, you'll find Jeff Gordon, the NASCAR legend who's only won once at Las Vegas back in 2001, and alongside him is the 20 of Russell Ingall. Row 9, we have points leader Tony Kanaan alongside another NASCAR star, Kevin Harvick. Then in row 10, we have Felipe Massa starting where his car number is in 19th, and completing the top 20 is Frank Kimmel, the 10-time ARCA champion. Then in row 11, we have Paul the Dude Morris alongside Robbie Gordon, a couple of drivers good at stadium super trucks. Then behind them, we have Scott Sharp and Fernando Alonso. Then the row after that, we have Garth Tander and Matt Kenseth, who won at Vegas in 2003. That was his only win in his 2003 championship season. Then after that, we have Tom Coronel and Greg Biffle, a former teammate of Matt Kenseth. Then Sebastian Bourdais and Dario Franchitti in the next row. Then in row 16, we have Sammy Swindell and Juan Pablo Montoya. Then after that, we have the 99 of Jason Plato and the 70 of Doug Coletta. Then in row 18, we have Elio Castroneves, who recently made his NASCAR debut in the Daytona 500, alongside Jetson Button, who has made some NASCAR starts on road courses though. And then in row 19, we have Scott Pruitt and our most recent oval winner, Alex Tagliani. He's starting deep in the field if he wants to win another oval race. And then rounding out the field in the final row is Tony Stewart alongside Jan Magnussen, who will be filling in for John Force for the rest of the season, as Force will unlikely be able to drive another race car ever again. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Force family, as we're still wishing him a speedy recovery from that nasty accident where he suffered a head injury, as we still hope he can get behind the wheel of a race car again someday, even at the age of 75. But anyways, we're just about to wrap up the pace lap as the field makes their way through turns 3 and 4. The weather is nice and sunny, and it's perfect for a race day like this. It is kind of hot outside, so it will increase the grip on the tires of these cars, because after all, this track is located in the Vegas desert. As the pace car is getting ready to make that hard left turn on the pit road, there it goes. The field, led by Jimmie Johnson, is approaching the green flag, and we're ready for 41 laps around this 1.5 mile track. Green flag in the air. We are underway in Sin City. Pole sitter Jimmie Johnson already starting to pull away from the field as they're side by side for second right behind him. Katherine Legge is going to take that position. What a great start to the race for her, as she's right behind our leader Jimmie Johnson, who's going to lead the first lap of the race. That 48 definitely has the fastest car on track, because after all, he did win the pole. Now Katherine Legge's trying to catch up to him, but Jimmy Jam's going to block her. As they head out of turn 1, now it looks like Kurt Busch in the 97 is going to pass leg for second. As now it's a NASCAR 1-2 with Patrick Carpentier now going underneath Kurt Busch for second. Our most recent winner at Watkins Glen is going to take second away from Busch. As Johnson continues to lead this race, Carpentier is up to second. Jeff Gordon, he's already in third. He started 15th and has already made up 12 positions since the start of the race. As they come out of turn 2, Johnson continues to lead. Carpentier goes high, then goes low to block the 11 of Tony Kanaan. And Kanaan started 17th. Now he's already up to third as Jeff Gordon is going to lose some ground. As now it's a single file train coming out of turn 4. Paul Morris in the 67's in fourth. Now Kanaan's going to go down to the inside of Carpentier to try to take second away from him. There you see Catherine Legg going down low as well. Same deal with Scott Sharp in the 90. We have already seen so much action in this race so far, and it's only the 4th lap. But Jimmie Johnson has led all 4 of these laps so far as Tony Kanaan's trying to chase him down for the lead. Now Scott Sharp in the 90 is going to catch up to Kanaan. How about Garth Tander in the 2 car right behind the 90 of Sharp? And now Sharp's going to go down to the inside of Kanaan, try to take second away from him as they head into turn 1. Scott Sharp is going to clear Tony Kanaan for second. Now can he catch up to Jimmie Johnson? He's got to run on the high side, but Jimmie Johnson has a stronger car off the corner. Here they come into turn 3. Scott Sharp is on the bumper of Johnson as they come out of turn 4. We got a crash already as a couple of cars are spinning in turn 4. One of them hard into the wall and almost upside down. That's the 59 of Tom Cornell, as he took a huge hit into the outside wall. Also caught up the 9 of Scott Dixon and the 77 of Kimi Räikkönen. Craig Lowndes also got a piece of it as he's headed down pit road. Let's have a look at how this wreck unfolded. So this happened towards the back of the pack. Dixon and Cornell were running around the edge of the top 20, and there you see the 9 of Dixon came down on Cornell. They both ended up spinning and collecting Kimi Räikkönen in the process. Look at how hard of a hit that was for Cornell. And he hit that wall so hard that he got up in the air and almost flipped. This is reminiscent of a crash we saw a few years ago that involved NASCAR driver Joey Gase. And as a matter of fact, it was at this same racetrack 4 years ago where Joey Gase slammed the outside wall with the back end and he got up in the air right afterward. That was during the fall race for the NASCAR Cup Series at Las Vegas back in 2021. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that because there wasn't good camera footage of it. Here it is in real time. Man, what a hit for Cornell. But fortunately, all 3 of the drivers involved in that crash, well, 4 including Lowndes, are okay. Here's another angle. As you clearly see, Dixon came down on Cornell, sent them spinning into the outside wall. Kimi Räikkönen came along and got into the 59 of Cornell. Matter of fact, it looks like the 77 had something to do with Cornell getting airborne. There you see him getting into the driver's side of the 59. Then, oh yeah, there was definitely contact between Cornell and Räikkönen that sent him into the air. And look at how close he came to flipping over as his car was on his side. We recently saw a full flip here at Las Vegas during the Cup race back in October. That was when Tyler Reddick spun coming out of turn 4 and then leaped over the quarter-mile track and did a barrel roll in front of the grandstands and was able to drive his car to the pits, but wasn't able to finish the race, of course. Here's one last angle. Great camera work by our IMV camera crew. There you see the 9 and the 59 spinning off the corner. Then Räikkönen gets into the driver's side of Cornell. Then he goes around. And then here comes the hit. And then into the outside wall. Big hit. Then Räikkönen gets into him, pushing Cornell into the outside wall, getting airborne, and then climbing onto the wall. This is the second time we've seen a car get airborne this season. Doug Coletta had that huge barrel roll at Daytona a couple races ago. But luckily, Cornell didn't flip. And then at the end, Craig Lowndes in the 88 gets into Scott Dixon and collects some damage in this crash. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back for more after this. Welcome back to Race 5 of the International Motorsports Veterans Season 1, live from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We are wrapping up our first caution that came out when Tom Cornell slammed the outside wall and almost flipped upside down, collecting Scott Dixon and Kimi Räikkönen in the process. And fortunately, all 3 of those drivers are okay as the wreck has been cleared up. Jimmie Johnson, your pole sitter, has been leading ever since the drop of the green flag as the pace car pulls into the pits. All those cars on the inside lane pitted as they are now a lap down. They made pit stops under the caution and the green flag is back in the air. Johnson continues to lead at Vegas. Heading into turn 1, Johnson tried to take it side by side with the off-pace car of Felipe Massa, the 19, but Massa's going to pull out in front of Johnson and stay on the lead lap. But here comes Johnson trying to put him a lap down. He gets a huge run, and he's going to take him side by side with Massa, and all those lap cars are going to create a huge gap between Johnson and the second place car of Catherine Legg. She had a great qualifying run where she started third and has been running in the top 10 quite often today. How about that for that female power? Catherine Legg is the only female driver in this series, and she's been doing a good job racing with these boys, as she's running in second right behind a bunch of lap cars as Jimmie Johnson continues to lead. He has a 3-car length lead over Catherine Legg. It's easier to count those car lengths since there's 3 cars in between Johnson and Legg, as the 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion has just led the 10th lap of this race. Ever since starting on pole, Johnson has been up front for every single lap thus far. Even though he retired from full-time NASCAR competition after 2020, he's not done racing just yet, as he did run a couple of IndyCar seasons in 2021 and 2022, where he competed full-time in 2022 but didn't do so well. And then he decided to go back to NASCAR, and he's been running part-time in the Cup Series for his own team, Legacy Motor Club, ever since. And he recently finished third in the Daytona 500 this year. That was after 2 years of struggling in his Cup Series return. But then again, Johnson doesn't have anything else to prove. He's won 7 championships in the NASCAR Cup Series, 2 Daytona 500s, and those 2 Daytona 500s are counted in his 83 career wins. And he is tied with Cale Yarborough for 6th on NASCAR's all-time wins list, as Kurt Busch is up to 2nd place. He is trying to chase down Jimmie Johnson for the lead and become the first new leader for this race. This is Kurt Busch's home track, as he is from Las Vegas, and he actually won here back in 2020. We got a crash. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jason Plato into the wall, and it looks like Jeff Gordon in the 24 is involved as well. This is going to bring out our second caution of this race. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was running in third right behind Kurt Busch. So it was a NASCAR driver 1, 2, 3 until Dale Earnhardt Jr. crashed. Here's a look at what happened. It looks like Legg made contact with Plato and sent him down, and then back onto the track and up into Dale Jr. There you see Jeff Gordon getting a piece of it and going around at the very end. Now here it is in slow motion. You see them going into turn 3. It looks like Catherine Legg got a run. Then she just made contact with the 99 of Plato. She came down the track, and then Plato got very loose, tried to save it, but then he ends up getting into the 8 of Dale Jr., and they both hit the outside wall. Pretty tough lick for the 99 and the 8 car. There you see Dale Jr. and Plato spinning around in turns 3 and 4. And then here's where Jeff Gordon gets involved. Looks like he made contact with Frank Kimmel in the 44. There you see Kimmel going up the track. Then Gordon gets into the wall. But yeah, 2 of the most popular NASCAR drivers of all time were involved in this crash, along with Jason Plato, and they will most likely be done for the day. There you see Gordon sliding into turn 4 with the damage on the back of his car. Let's go on board with Jeff Gordon. You see Jeff Gordon make contact with the 44 of Frank Kimmel, then get into the outside wall with the back end of his car. Here's another angle there. What a run Catherine Legg had. She got into the 99 of Plato and caused him to get loose and then spin into Dale Jr., and they both hit the outside wall and then collected Jeff Gordon in the process. Jr. and Gordon were able to drive away from the scene, but we're not sure if they'll be able to continue with all that damage on their cars. Here's one more slow motion angle. Man, significant impact into the outside wall for Plato and Jr. Fortunately, all the drivers involved in this crash are okay, but unfortunately, the cars are not okay, as it looks like Jeff Gordon didn't make any contact whatsoever with Jr. judging by that angle. He just made contact with Kimmel, and that sent him around into the wall. And now we're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back for more after a quick word from our sponsors. Welcome back to Las Vegas for Race 5 of the International Motorsports Veterans Season 1. We are wrapping up our second caution of the race, and both cautions so far have been due to incidents. Our most recent caution, which we're just wrapping up right now, was due to Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jason Plato crashing in Turn 3 and collecting Jeff Gordon in the process. As you see, The cars on the inside lane are off the pace. They made pit stops during the caution. Kurt Busch is your brand new race leader after Jimmie Johnson made a pit stop and fell back to 26. So now Kurt Busch is now out front at his home track. The field makes it through the restart zone. Green flag back in the air. Great restart for the 97 of Kurt Busch as they head into turn 1. Kurt Busch is going to try to clear the lap car of Russell Ingall. He can't quite get down there yet, but as they come out of turn 2, Kurt Busch is still up. Now they're side by side. Of course, like I said, Russell Ingall is a lap down, so this is not a battle for the lead. But here comes Kevin Harvick in the 4 car. He's going to get around Kurt Busch to get his lap back, and so too Robbie Gordon and Valentino Rossi, as those 4 cars are now back on the lead lap. As Kurt Busch continues to lead this race, he is the only other driver to have led this race thus far. The only other driver to have led is our pole sitter, Jimmie Johnson. And of course, he had to go to the back of the pack after making a pit stop. And that ended up giving the lead to Kurt Busch. So now Busch has been leading at what is his home track, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He is from Las Vegas, Nevada, and so is his brother Kyle Busch, of course. Kurt had to retire from racing full-time in the NASCAR Cup Series after suffering a big crash at Pocono in 2022 where he suffered a concussion. Meanwhile, his brother Kyle is looking to rebound in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series season after coming off his first winless season in 20 years of full-time racing in the Cup Series, and he's looking to get a win in 2025 driving the number 8 car for Richard Childress Racing. Kyle is currently in his 3rd year at RCR. He spent most of his career driving the number 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing, where he won 2 championships and a ton of races. Meanwhile, right behind Kurt Busch is the 27 of Dario Franchitti. He is a car length behind the 97, trying to get a run and get around the 97 as he's inching closer and closer to that 97 car. He is on the bumper as they come out of turn 4. He tries to go down the inside, can't quite make the pass. And Dario Franchitti is another driver who had to retire after an incident. He suffered a big crash at Houston during an IndyCar race in 2013, but now he's trying to redeem himself and get back on top of the racing world as he tries to battle Kurt Busch for the lead here at Las Vegas. And Robbie Gordon, the 7 car, he's on the bumper of Franchitti. He's a lap down, so he's not really a factor in this battle as Kurt Busch is trying to hold off the 27 of Dario Franchitti. Meanwhile, Catherine Legg, she's running in 3rd. She's had a great run today. She qualified inside the top 5, has been having a pretty good run all day. But it looks like Dario Franchitti's slowing down as they head into turn 3. There must be a problem with the 27 car. I don't know what, as it's going to jumble up the field and increase Kurt Busch's lead. But now it looks like Franchitti is starting to speed up again as now he's under fire from Fernando Alonso and Matt Kenseth. There's the pace cars. Now Alonso is going to take 2nd away from Franchitti. Franchitti and Catherine Legg are going to fall back a little bit as quite a bit of cars pass them on the inside line. But look who's made his way back up there. Jimmie Johnson in the 48, and now Fernando Alonso slowing down. I don't know what happened to him. It looks like the same thing that happened to Franchitti a lap prior. As meanwhile, Johnson got into the wall a little bit. Looks like Fernando's going to fall outside of the top 10. As there's Dario Franchitti and Catherine Legg. They were 2nd and 3rd a while ago. Now they're down to 8th and 9th. As Mark Webber, who restarted 2nd, completes the top 10 as of now. But anyways, about Jimmie Johnson, he restarted outside of the top 20 due to making a pit stop. And he has already made his way up to 6th, which is 1 number less than the amount of NASCAR Cup Series championships he has. As now he's getting a run on the 26 of Steve Kinzer, and he's going to make his way around the 26. This is the first time Jimmie Johnson has been in the top 10 since he led from the pole. So what a great rebound for the 48 car. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch continues to lead. He has a huge lead over 2nd place driver Matt Kenseth. It's a NASCAR driver 1-2 as both drivers have won at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as we're going to take a side-by-side commercial break with commercials on the left, racing on the right. Don't go anywhere.
At Domino's, you can carry out 3 topping pizzas for just $7.99 each. And with Domino's Carside Delivery, you can conveniently stay in your car while you do it. Just pull up, check in online, and we'll quickly bring your food to you.
Thank you.
So you don't have to get out to get carry-out. Like Denny here.
Hey, Hamlin, I like your PJs.
PJs? Huh?
Stay in the driver's seat with Domino's Carside Delivery.
Don't be conventional.
Kevin Harvick?
Be exceptional. Upgrade to Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. It helps your engine last over 250,000 miles.
Wow. What's he doing?
Raving.
He's exceptional.
So is Mobil 1. Yes.
Is this good?
I do not know.
Get 250,000 miles of protection. Upgrade to Mobil 1.
Welcome back to Race 5 of Season 1 for the International Motorsports Veterans, live at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kurt Busch continues to lead at his home track. He has been leading ever since the restart. We are on lap 30 of 41. And as I've mentioned, the other driver to have led today is Jimmie Johnson. He restarted mid-pack, but has made his way up to 5th. A great drive for the 7-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, as he has one of the fastest cars out here today. He started on pole, led the first few laps before getting shuffled back into the 20s. And now he is back in the top 5 as Matt Kenseth, who was running second, has fallen back to 4th as both Garth Tander and Rubens Barrichello have overtaken the 17 cars. Tander is up to 2nd where his car number is, and Rubens Barrichello is up to 3rd. There's Rubens Barrichello in that number 13 car. The 52-year-old from Brazil, he's a former F1 driver where he competed from 1993 to 2011, and he's still racing as he competes in Brazilian stock cars. A pretty long career for Barrichello. Meanwhile, Garth Tander is up to 2nd. Tander's also had a pretty long career in motorsports. He's a V8 Supercars driver from Australia. He's a 5-time winner of the Bathurst 1000, which is the most prestigious race in V8 Supercars, kind of like how the Daytona 500 is to NASCAR, the Indy 500 is to IndyCar, and the Monaco Grand Prix is to F1. Anyways, concerning Garth Tander, the last time we were on an oval at Daytona, he finished 2nd as he was involved in that big crash where Doug Coletta had that huge barrel roll and collected several other drivers, but luckily Tander was able to drive his way back up into the top 5 and finish runner-up to Alex Tagliani, coming close to winning the race. And Tander's looking for another good run on the ovals, as 2nd place is currently where he sits right now, but this time he's right behind Kurt Busch, as Kurt Busch is on the bumper of the lap car of Robbie Gordon, trying to get around him, but he can't quite do it. They look like they're tandem drafting at a super speedway like how they used to do in NASCAR back in the early 2010s. As the 97 is right on the bumper of the 7 car as they head through the front straightaway. Kurt Busch still can't get around Gordon, Robbie Gordon that is. Here they come into turn 1. Will Kurt Busch be able to get around him? No, as Robbie Gordon is not giving up, and he is trying to hold up the 97 of Kurt Busch. This could provide for an opportunity for Garth Tander to catch up to Kurt Busch and take the lead away from him, as Gordon continues to hold up Busch into turn 4. As there you see the 2 of Tander and the 13 of Barrichello inching closer and closer to the 97. As we're running out of time in this race, we only have 6 laps to go. Will Kurt Busch be able to hang on, or will Garth Tander catch up to him and take the win away from him? He's looking for redemption from the last oval race at Daytona where he finished 2nd, and he's trying to finish 1 spot better, but he has to catch up to the 97 of Kurt Busch and get around him if he wants to accomplish that. As Busch's lead is down to just 3 car lengths as Robbie Gordon continues to hold him up, not letting the 97 get around him. As they come in turn 4, we only have 5 to go. Now Garth Tander, he's closer and closer to the 97. Busch's lead is down to just a car length now. Now Tander needs to get a run and try to get around the 97, but Tander's falling off the pace. Now here comes Barrichello. What a move by the 13! As Busch and Tander were slowing up, Barrichello goes from 3rd to 1st, as he's going to become our 3rd different leader with 4 laps to go in the race. As Barrichello was able to zoom past the 2 and the 97 after those 2 cars started to slow down heading into turn 3. However, we're not sure if he can hang on because he is low on fuel, so he might have to make a pit stop, which could possibly cost him the win. But will the fuel last? It looks like it might not, as Barrichello is going to head down pit road right now along with the 77 of Kimi Räikkönen. And we got problems for Jimmie Johnson. He cuts a tire and hits the wall. A pretty hard lick for the 48, as now he's starting to slow down. This could bring out the caution, as that's exactly what's going to happen. As the yellow flag is out, this will end up in a 2-lap shootout to determine the winner of the race. But before we witness that, let's take a look at what happened to Johnson. So he was running in 5th, and then, looks like as he was in turn 4, his tire went down, and then he slammed the outside wall. Pretty hard lick for the 48. Then as he exits turn 4 and heads onto the front straightaway, he starts to slow down in the middle of the track. He pulls over just so he doesn't get hit, and there it is again. Yeah, tough hit by the 48. We're going to be right back for more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with a 2-lap shootout. Who is going to win at Vegas? Stay tuned, y'all. Welcome back to Race 5 of the International Motorsports Veterans Season 1 live from Las Vegas. We are wrapping up the 3rd and hopefully the final caution of the race as we are getting ready to have a 2-lap shootout to determine the race winner. Mark Webber has assumed the lead after a cycle of pit stops. He is looking to become the first driver in IMV history to be a repeat winner. But can he hold him off as the pace car pulls into the pit road? He's got Dario Franchitti on his outside, Catherine Legge right behind him, and Juan Pablo Montoya in 4th. Here they come. The green flag is in the air. 2 laps to go at Vegas. Webber gets a great restart. He's going to try to pull out in front of Franchitti, and that's exactly what he's going to do. This might provide for a chance for Catherine Legge to get around the 27. No, it will not, as she pulls up into 3rd. But here comes the 97 of Kurt Busch. He's on the outside of Legge. What a move. He tries to move her down to the inside, but here comes Kurt Busch for the lead. He restarted 6th, and he's already back up front as Montoya gets into the wall and falls back. But Kurt Busch, the driver who has led the most laps, is looking to lead another one as he takes the white flag. 1 lap to go at Vegas as he has a huge lead over Legge. Will he be able to hold everyone off and become the first NASCAR driver to win in the IMV? As here they go down the Nellis straightaway one last time. Catherine Legge trying to catch up to Busch. Here she comes. What a run by her. As she goes up high. Here she comes. Oh, he gets in her. Leg into the wall. Now here comes Tagliani looking for another win. It's not going to happen. Kurt Busch wins at Las Vegas. And we got a crash coming to the finish, a couple of cars around in the tri-oval. A big hit for Russell Engel and Kevin Harvick and Rubens Barrichello, I believe. There's Jason Plato with damage. Valentino Rossi and Felipe Massa are also crashed coming to the finish. As the 19 car slams into Rossi and Harvick, Russell Engel's car disappears. And before we show a replay of the final lap crash, let's look at a replay of the last 2 laps. So Mark Webber gets a great restart. He pulls out in front of Dario Franchitti, then Kurt Busch, the 97. He splits the middle between Valentino Rossi and Juan Pablo Montoya. Gets a strong run coming down the back straightaway. Makes his way around Catherine Legge and Franchitti, then straight to the lead. He had a monster run heading down the Nellis straightaway. Then he clears the 71 of Webber. Then Legge moves up to 2nd, takes it side by side with Webber. Here they come to the white flag. They cross the start-finish line, 1 lap to go. And as you see, right after he took the lead, Kurt Busch just pulled away from the rest of the field. He had a fast car. He's had a fast car all day. He started 11th, has led the most laps. Now here's when it gets exciting. Here they head into turn 3. The field catches up to Kurt Busch. Catherine Legge goes up to the outside. Then Kurt Busch goes up, puts her in the wall. And then he goes on to win the race. That was a big hit for Legge. And then after she pulls into the pits and then they crash right in front of her. Let's have a look at that crash. There you see Legge pulling on into the pit road after she hit the wall while racing for the lead in turn 4. There you see Valentino Rossi, the 46, slowing down. Felipe Massa gets into him. And then Massa and Rossi get into the wall. And then Jason Plato gets into the 19 car. Carpentier gets a little bit of damage. Our Watkins Glen winner. He scraped the 46 of Rossi. There you see Frank Kimmel trying to avoid the 19, trying not to hit him, and he barely did. As the 19 car spins around. Now, here's where the wreck continues. You see Russell Engel get into Kevin Harvick. They turn into the wall hard. Then Barrichello gets into the 20 of Engel. And then Rossi joins in. He slams into Harvick. And now we're going to look at another angle of this crash. You see Catherine Legge make a hard left turn on the pit road. There you see Rossi and Massa get into the wall after being turned. Both drivers did cross the finish line, by the way, as here's one more angle. This race may have not had a lot of action throughout, but we have had our fair share of crashes along with a crazy finish. Now here is Kurt Busch doing his burnout in front of the hometown crowd. You deserve it, Kurt Busch. You have put on a show. Also, consider this a comeback story, as Kurt Busch had to retire from NASCAR racing after his vicious crash at Pocono back in 2022. He suffered a concussion in that crash, and he was getting up there in age and he didn't have much left in him, so he decided to retire after 2023. So Tyler Reddick took over his ride in the 45 car for 2311 Racing. But Busch has had a lot to prove throughout his motorsports career. He's the 2004 NASCAR Cup Series champion and the 2017 Daytona 500 winner, and now he is a winner in the International Motorsports Veterans. Let's look at our results. Kurt Busch wins the race. Alex Tagliani comes home second, his second consecutive top 2 finish on an oval. Then it's Doug Coletta third, Robbie Gordon fourth, Scott Pruitt fifth, Jan Magnussen with his second consecutive 6th place finish. He's doing a good job filling in for John Force. Then it's Jeff Gordon, Steve Kinzer, Mark Webber, and Tony Stewart completing the top 10. Then Matt Kenseth, the 2003 NASCAR Cup Series winner here, he finishes 11th. Then it's Kanaan, Tander, Swindell, Alonso, Franchitti, Carpentier, Hornish, Sharp, and Greg Biffle completing the top 20. Then it's Elio Castroneves, Paul Morris, Russell Ingall, Kevin Harvick, Juan Pablo Montoya, Jason Plato, Rubens Barrichello. A lot of drivers involved in that crash coming to the finish. Then it's Rossi, Kimmel, and Catherine Legg, who would have gotten the top 5 if Kurt Busch didn't put her in the wall, but instead she comes home 30th. Then it's Felipe Massa, Jimmy Johnson, Kimi Räikkönen, Dale Earnhardt Jr. A lot of these drivers who finished deep in the field, they were involved in crashes. So Scott Dixon comes home 36th, Jenson Button 37th, Sebastian Bourdais 38th, Craig Lowndes 39th, and rounding out the field was Tom Coronel. Now let's look at our point standings after race 5. Tony Kanaan continues to lead the points with Sam Hornish Jr. in second and Fernando Alonso in third. Mark Webber and Robbie Gordon have made their way into the top 5 in the standings. Webber was 13th in points and Gordon was 16th in the standings. Then it's Carpentier in 6th, Jason Plato 7th, Steve Kinzer 8th, John Force is 9th, but despite the fact that he is not running the rest of the season as Jan Magnussen is driving for him, he is still competing for the championship, so Jan Magnussen is earning points for Force. And he's doing a good job so far, as Magnussen has helped move Force into the top 10 in the standings, and then completing the top 10 is Garth Tander in 10th. Then other drivers, we got Tagliani, Villeneuve, Kenseth, Barrichello, Harvick, Kimmel. Kurt Busch's win at Las Vegas moves him from 26th to 17th in the standings. However, on the other hand, Craig Lowndes, he was in the top 10 in the standings, but after his DNF here at Las Vegas, he moves down to 18th, so hopefully he can rebound before the end of the season. And then completing the top 20 is Bourdais and Stewart. Other notable drivers deep in the standings include Greg Biffle in 21st, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 22nd, Sammy Swindell in 25th, Kimi Räikkönen in 27th, Jenson Button 28th, Elio Castroneves in 29th, Dario Franchitti completing the top 30, then Johnson in 31st, Jeff Gordon 33rd, Scott Dixon 34th, Russell Ingall 36th, Juan Pablo Montoya 38th, Felipe Massa, and Tom Coronel round out the standings. Coronel, his last place finish at Las Vegas did not help him at all. So we are halfway completed with the inaugural International Motorsports Veterans season. Stay tuned for the next race where we will begin our international swing. We will start out at Bathurst in Australia, and after that we'll go to Abu Dhabi and then the Lausitz Ring in Germany. So the next race, like I said, is at the Mount Panorama Circuit in Bathurst, Australia. And that track is sure to produce chaos. It's a pretty wild track out there in the land down under. And that track is home of the V8 Supercars Series biggest race, the Bathurst 1000. So we'll see how these IMV drivers are able to handle that course. So in the meantime, thank you all for watching this race. This is Jonathan M signing out. Goodbye and have a blessed day.